And welcome into a Wednesday edition of Philly Voice Sports Bets, brought to you by the great folks at Rita's.
Rita's is bringing back pumpkin perfection with our pumpkin milkshake and Reese's Take 5 Pumpkin Concrete. And new app users can get a free ice when they download and use offer code PUMPKIN. Trademarks are used under license. Offer expires October 16th.
And coming off Jalen Hurts' finest hour on Monday night, at least the finest first half that we've definitely seen him play in an Eagles uniform. In fact, you could make a case that under Nick Sirianni, that might have been the finest first half of the entire team that we've seen in his tenure. You could certainly make an argument for it, and the Eagles are now, moving up in everybody's power rankings, right next to the Buffalo Bills, and everybody, if they had to call a Super Bowl matchup today, would probably say Eagles-Bills, although I saw a tweet, which I had to retweet because I thought it was pretty clever, saying that the infrastructure of the nation is not prepared for an Eagles-Bills Super Bowl matchup, and I couldn't agree more. Can you imagine those two fan bases getting together in Phoenix, Arizona, and Scottsdale in February? They would go absolutely batshit crazy.
That's been my dream Super Bowl matchup for so long. Like, I feel like I've been manifesting a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl, and now it finally feels somewhat possible. I actually retweeted that tweet as well because it made me laugh out loud. Like,
yeah, me too.
Those two fan bases. I mean, I also love, like, when the Eagles are out, I love the Bills, I think, because I feel like we are kindred spirits with them here in Philadelphia. Like, they've been starved. They've been through a lot of hardships. They're so intense. I mean, can you imagine how many tables would be set on fire and jumped through if that was the Super Bowl?
They'd run out of tables in Arizona.
I think
Arizona doesn't know what's coming from.
No.
That's a business opportunity that we should investigate, is making those tables, those collapsible tables. And we go wherever the Super Bowl is. If Buffalo's in it, you'd be selling them left and right.
Can't we just import them? Isn't that easier? Import than export them back to Scottsdale? Like, you want me to build tables, Harry? I can't do that.
Yes, you got a garage. You got some tools.
Look, I have a garage, but it's jam full of shit. So
I know.
It's a hoarder's dream in there.
Right. So, of course, I lost the side and I lost the total because that game took a shit in the second half. With all those turnovers and the blocked kick and everything. But I did manage to come back with Thielen, who finally entered the game in the second half. He had one target in the first half. It turned into an interception, but he did go over the yardage that total that I had. And then I had Jalen Hurts over rushing, and he hit it almost in the first half. I think he was 1 yard short in the first half, went over it in the second half. So I did get some money back on that.
Yeah, my bets did not hit in that game, but it's totally fine because the Eagles won. Did not hit the over. And then I had A.J. Brown anytime touchdown. Yeah. He had a good game, but unfortunately no touchdown. But it's okay. We'll take the Eagles win.
They did get Devontae Smith involved early and often, as we thought they would. Now, he didn't get a touchdown, but he caught a bunch of balls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, over on his plays for sure. If you were following the sheet that we had on my Discord on the other side there, we added Quez anytime there, and that was humongous because those odds were outlandish for him. And I just think, moving forward, there's going to be targets, right? Depending on who's down. It's almost like the Eagles have so many weapons. And this goes back to what you were saying with A.J. Brown as well, Devin, where it's going to be week to week, where if somebody has a down week, I think you might be, even if it's 150 points of value where they normally wouldn't be, because there's such an opportunity for Devontae to lead the team. A.J. Brown, Quez could have 3 of those grabs in a game. Dallas Goedert, so even the running back. So something to keep an eye on. I don't want people to think, we didn't hit that one game. I think there's going to be some value each week with these guys anytime.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I was amazed. I don't know about you guys, but I'm glad Aikman pointed it out time and time again in the second half that the Minnesota defense never adjusted and never came out of their defense, which, Jalen Hurts was just sitting back there with, people open with cushions, 5-6 yard cushions. He was just taking what they were giving him, and then they made the big play to Quez. But I was stunned by that.
Jonathan Gannon coached.
Yeah,
Jonathan Gannon. Yeah, he made some improvements this week.
It looked like he was on the other side at first. That's
right. I mean, I was thinking back to us bitching about him last year, doing a very similar approach. And I'm thinking like, man, the Minnesota fans have to be going, pulling their hair out right now. But anyway, let's move on. I've got a 4-team college parlay that I want to run by you guys, and then a couple of NFL early looks.
Whoa,
I know Eytan,
4-team parlay?
Yes. I got a 4-teamer.
That is aggressive.
It's a good week for college football. I'm going in the Big Ten for 3 of these games and in the ACC for 1. I'll start it right off. Michigan is hosting Maryland as a 17-point favorite. Michigan's offense, albeit against weak opponents, okay, this goes without saying, it's a dynamo. They're averaging 55 points per game and a whole ton of yards since they made the move to J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. Of course, they got Blake Corum with 7 touchdowns, 7 yards a clip in the backfield. They got the possession receiver, and then they got the big play guy in Bell and Wilson. Wilson's averaging 28 yards a reception thus far this year. Their linebackers are incredible tacklers. They're up against Maryland, who I know is 3-0, but Maryland does this every year. They jump out against their lesser opponents, win a bunch of games. Everybody gets excited. It's Tua's brother, and then they hit the Big Ten, and boom, they get kicked in the face, and that's what's going to happen to them on Saturday. I'm putting Michigan in there, -17. Then we'll go to Wisconsin and Ohio State. Graham Mertz stinks. He's the quarterback for Wisconsin, if you don't know. He is not good enough to hang with C.J. Stroud and that offense. Yeah. They'll get, Smith and Jigba's back. He was injured early in the year against Notre Dame. We worked him back against Toledo last week. I think he's going to be back with Marvin Harrison, who was incredible at wideout. Their Wisconsin defense has forced 7 turnovers, which is really good, and they got a good running back. But in the end, Ohio State will be too strong. I'm laying 19 there. Minnesota is favored on the road despite losing their big play wide receiver to injury last week. They got a 3-headed running attack. They got a 10-year starter at quarterback in Tanner Morgan. I feel like he's been there since 2005.
The Steve Blake of quarterbacks.
Exactly. I'm taking Minnesota based on the line, -2.5 on the road against Michigan State. And then I'm going to throw in Wake Forest. They're hosting Clemson. Nobody ever respects Wake Forest. They're always undervalued. I'm not a believer in DJ Wangalele at quarterback for Clemson. I think Wake Forest's quarterback is better in Hartman, and their defense is so good. They've got 9 sacks already, 8 turnovers in 3 games. I'll take a touchdown at home, and I'll throw that in there. And right now it's plus 1205 is the 1208, excuse me, on DraftKings. What do you think about that, Eytan?
Well, first off, take a breath, sir. My goodness, that was a lot right there. I'm good with everything except Clemson, only because I'm already on the other side. I'm laying the 7 with Clemson. But other than that, look, I think I would do everything you did and just flop the back end and play Clemson, to be honest with you. I think it's great. Okay.
All right, I can live with that.
I'd love to have something I could poke holes in, Harry, and say, I hate that, I hate it. But, a lot of favorites in there, except for the dog at the end.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard you are, sorry, Eytan, you were freezing for a sec, so I didn't want to cut you off there. Harry, you are my college football guru. I cannot argue with anything that you just said. I was sitting here, taking notes, because when it comes to college football, I must say I'm not the expert. A lot of uneven matchups, though, just looking at the spreads coming up this weekend. So I might have to tail you on that, honestly. I wrote it all down. I took the notes. So if it doesn't hit, I know who to call first.
There you go.
That's right. Well, it's going to be Minnesota that I would be most concerned about if I were playing all 4. But I love it. Okay. Good stuff, Harry. All I have for college early is Clemson. Okay. I'm gonna tail my buddy Ben for BYU first half, but I'm so tempted to go under this Virginia Tech game because there's going to be rain. Yeah. But I want to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I like that too. That's Thursday night?
Correct.
Yeah, West Virginia, Virginia Tech. All right, Devan, anything jumping out to you thus far in the NFL? Any early looks? Any Phillies action? They got the Braves coming in.
I was just gonna say Phillies. After last night, after recent performances, like I'm not touching that. September collapse written all over it there. And I don't want to bet against the Phils, which is what I would probably do if I were to place any bets on them. Looking at the Thursday night NFL matchup, Steelers Browns should be an interesting one. I think the Browns take it, but I'm looking at two different anytime touchdowns, one for Amari Cooper and one for Kareem Hunt, both plus money. Hunt is plus 165. Amari Cooper is plus 200 last I checked. Amari Cooper didn't have any touchdowns in the Browns' last game against the Panthers. I think we could see some action from him, and Steelers' run defense kind of stinks, especially with injuries kind of decimating them a bit just after 2 weeks. So Kareem Hunt, I think, is going to have a big game.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a whole lot of running in this game by both of these teams. Both quarterbacks are backup quarterbacks in essence, and the under 38 looks like a pretty good play to me.
Oh, yes, lowest scoring as well.
Yeah. No, I think you're onto something too with Hunt in that he's going to be out there a lot and he's going to be involved. You're probably going to get 2.5 receptions as his line right there, and it's probably going to be shaded to the under. And if you can find anything about, like, I would tail what you're doing with Hunt and then also play his over receptions. I just think that there are going to be targets there for him because as Harry mentioned, you've got Brissett, and look, Cooper had himself a day, he just didn't get in the end zone. So I think they are going to just target some lower scoring stuff. Look, you come off a loss like that, you're not coming out swinging. Right? Like, you're coming out guarded, even against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a short week. So
yeah. How Cleveland was that loss? I mean, to the Jets of all teams too. I mean, that incredible.
Can you imagine you had them in a survivor pool thinking like, all right, they're not covering the spread. I had Denver in a survivor pool, and I'm just like, all right, any day, guys, any day. Right. But unbelievable.
Yeah, their offense has been uninspiring thus far, Denver.
No. In these games, like these games with two shitty teams or lesser teams, if you will, on shorter weeks, you're going to find some of these smaller markets where there's plus money. So a guy like Pickens, for example, I went under 2.5 receptions. It was at BetMGM for plus money. It's probably dipped a little bit, but these are guys where it's like, not heavily involved in a game plan. Don't expect there to be a lot of bombs and whatnot. And you can take advantage of somebody who may get you 2 grabs, but for plus money, it's probably going to be worth a play there. So that's really it on this game. I don't know. I'm with you all. I feel like low scoring and all, but I'm not playing much in this. Probably a live bet if there's early scoring that I can go a live under.
Right. Now, the Eagles, the only thing I have for them thus far is a first quarter number of -1.5. I got a feeling that Carson Wentz is going to come out here really tight in this game, just because of everything that we all know in the past. I mean, this is his last go round. Okay, this has to go well for him in Washington, or he's going to become a backup quarterback. So I think he's going to put a whole lot into this game early on, and he usually plays tight when he does things like that. So I like the Eagles to get out to a lead of at least 3 points in the first quarter.
So Eagles leading in first quarter.
Yeah, -1.5 they are.
Right.
Okay.
So
lane one.
Yep.
Yeah, something to keep in mind with this game. I don't have anything specific just yet. Eagles have a shorter turnaround than the Commanders in terms of like recovery, getting ready. We saw Darius Slay. Like, I think he'll be okay, but he was limping by the end of Monday night's game. Like, I just don't know if they'll be as fresh as Carson Wentz. And then there is that whole, past beef between Carson Wentz and the Eagles as a factor. I don't know how big of a factor it's going to be. I hope we don't get 2017 Wentz. I know he's kind of spotty when it comes to his performances, but that short turnaround from the Eagles concerns me a bit.
He's also always good for one goofy play.
He is.
That's
his
true.
Ends in a turnover.
So maybe a good play. I haven't looked at the defensive props, like an interception odds from Carson Wentz could be a good look. I need to look at the numbers on that, though.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's thrown for 300 in each of the 2 games. There's definitely a comfort level with him in the offense. And I'm kind of, Harry, on the other side, although we've both created a little middle here. And you could, Cherico, if you want, of course, our esteemed producer, Matt Cherico, we could go to the sheet because I have it here. It's at the bottom there. I just added it. So it's Washington +4. It's the last one. Washington +4. First half, not first quarter, first half. Same game parlayed with the over. It was at 23.5, right? First half.
Yeah.
So that's my big play that I'm leaning with right now in this game, because I agree with Devan where there is a shorter turnaround. That's a huge win for the Eagles to come off. Right. And on top of that, Washington is, especially with Wentz, like, I don't want to take a chance in the full game because Wentz is going to show his side, and it's going to be like, ha, you bettors and all the people who bet on me, look, I can turn back into a pumpkin, but I can get a first half. That's all right? That's all. Just put that out there.
The one thing that doesn't scare me so much about the shorter week is that it's so little travel for the Eagles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if they had to take a plane to a couple other time zones on a short week, I would think more about that.
I get that. No, I think not having that is an advantage for Philadelphia in the first part of the season. Yeah. And it's definitely, like, we talk about travel. We should talk about travel. It's baked into the lines, but it should impact, I think, a lot of what you see. So, again, that's probably a bigger reason than I even indicated, Harry, without even thinking about it, why I wouldn't take the Washington Commanders for a full game play and more so for a full first half. I just don't think that they can last. And look, Rivera's still 7-11 straight up at home, so he's going to mess it up at some point as well.
You're really down on Rivera. I love it.
Only at home.
It's a consistent pounding of Ron Rivera.
Only at home.
Wait, what's his record at home?
7-11 straight up. He was 6-11 coming into week 1. Yep. Yep. And here's the thing, Devan.
Yeah.
Devan, he's got an awful record at home. He had an awful record at home in Carolina. Like, everywhere he goes, he just does not coach well at home, and that's a consistent thing. And these are straight up records too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I think my man Matt Rule is in some serious trouble in Carolina.
I couldn't agree with him more.
I don't even know if he gets to October. If they lose this week,
might be it.
Yeah, it could be. I know that, and that owner's rich. He's one of the richest there is. So he would have not even bat an eye at paying out that contract, even though
absolutely.
It's a long, expensive one.
Yeah, he won't get left on a tarmac, but he'll get bought out for sure.
How about Herm Edwards getting fired in the end zone last Saturday night in Arizona?
I hate to do it, man.
The athletic director was meeting him in the end zone as he's walking off the field.
Can you imagine that?
Right.
Like, what's worse, getting left on a road game and not being allowed to fly back with your team, or being fired before you could even get into the locker room at home?
Unbelievable. I got fired at the airport once.
Wow.
Oh, well,
what?
Yeah. Waiting to board a plane coming back to Philadelphia from San Diego. And they called me on the phone. And the guy who was calling me to tell me was actually like 60 feet away on the phone. That's how passive aggressive and what a pussy this guy was, right?
Oh, my God.
So he fires me on the phone. I get on the plane and upgraded to first class and, put that in on my final expense report. And I drank the plane dry on the way home. So don't do that again.
And he was on your flight?
Yes, he was on my flight.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Only Harry.
Yep.
Wild.
All right. Anything else before we bid adieu? Gave out quite a bit today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll leave you with this because I played it. So again, it's on my Discord. But I'm trying something out this week. I'm running a ladder. I love Baltimore. Absolutely love Baltimore in this game. So I ran it, and real quick, Matt, I'm sorry, one more time. I ran it here, and there are a bunch of plays there at the bottom. And I've essentially, just like you can build a K ladder or anything else from a base up. So I built that with Baltimore. It's basically the side money line or side parlayed with the under. And I think it's going to be a low scoring game. Love Baltimore to bounce back from just an outlier in their season. So I've built that ladder up. And even if the baseline hits, I'm in good shape. But trying something here. You're going to get some good return on alternate lines, and especially when you run an alternate in a money line side or a side, total parlay. So just leaving you with that. Look, if this thing falls flat on its face, you'll have that there on the spreadsheet to turn back and say, "You idiot, what were you thinking?" But I'll leave you with that.
But I want to ask you, since you said it was an outlier on their schedule, does that mean you're not buying into Miami?
No. Outlier in their loss. I think the way in which they lose is not something for me that I'm going to factor into this week.
Okay.
Oh, Baltimore comes off a loss. No. That's an outlier. It's the first time in like 700 games that a team came back like they did from Miami. Yeah, I'm buying Miami, but I ain't buying Baltimore's in shambles now because of that.
Yeah, because Miami-Buffalo this week, man, that's going to be a good football game. Very anxious to
Devin's
see that.
Bills.
Yeah, Devin's Bills against this coach from Miami. I mean, he looks like a guy behind the counter at an adult bookstore, doesn't he? Seriously.
That is such a specific thing to look
If I had to pick another occupation for that guy, that's what I'm seeing. You're only getting that here, folks. All right. We will be back on Friday for another edition. In the meantime, enjoy Thursday Night Football. Go Phils, and we'll talk to you on Friday.